Okay, let's just move on, please. Okay.
It doesn't even have a beverages. I'm not
So there's like some like things that I'll pass. Finish it? Yeah, you do it.
Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Let's just start with number one. Who would like to do number one?
Whoever's number one.
You're not here. Anyway, according to the books, according to the scholars, Buddhism started in Buddhism spread to Vietnam from China, but that's not the case. It started from the 1st century when the Buddhist monks and the merchants sailed to the boat to the maritimes from India to Vietnam, and this is famous monk Thich Hang Dat.
Sorry.
This is the one that I'm writing my PhD dissertation about. The one who brought the first kind of meditation to Vietnam. So that nowadays the Vietnamese scholar consider him as the first patriarch of first initiate, the one who initiates the Zen, the meditation tradition in Vietnam during the 1st century. But many scholars, Western scholars, because the order says lineage of Zen tradition, starting from the 4th century and so on. So basically, right now is some argument over that too. And throughout history, especially in the Vietnamese Buddhism, there's many Zen masters that engage in politics. Even they did the practice of Zen meditation too, but still, because of this struggle between Vietnam and China for its independence, so many Vietnamese monks involved in politics. And actually, Quang Han, you guys, especially if you are Vietnamese, you have to know him, okay? Quang Han. In the 11th century, he had the first ever Vietnamese king to gain independence from China. And after he helped out the king to unify the country, he went back to his mountain to do practice meditation. You know why? You know why? Why so?
Wasn't it like 80% population was Buddhist at the time?
No, that's not the case. Why? Why? After, especially in the past, many Buddhist monks helped the king's royal families to gain their status, to gain their authorities, and after that they withdraw from society or go back to the forest, a mountain to do the practice. Why is that? Why?
They want to give back. Give back and rethink. Or
Not really. Why? You know why?
Because they're ashamed, because they aren't supposed to have kings make power.
No, that's not the case. Why? If you miss this idea, you miss the whole point of Buddhism. I'm serious. Who knows why? Well, after they involved in politics, after they have they were successful in politics, they withdraw from society. They go back to their hometown, to their mountain or forest to do practice meditation.
Because of attachment?
Yeah, attachment. Not attached to the politics. Not attached to the power. That's the whole point. Oh, you remember, lady? that's what you write about, right? Attachment. I don't know much about the Burmese king, Burmese master, but I think most of them for that spirit. You understand that? So when they're still young, they involve in politics to help society, but when they were successful in politics, they withdraw from society, even from the politics, from the power, so that they can enhance their spiritual development. You understand that? If they involve too much with politics, with power, what happens? They will be corrupted. Make sense? So that's the whole point of Buddhism there. Not to run away, not to fight back, not because of the passion or in the past the populations were farmers and so forth. That's not the case. They want to drop down the attachment to the power. That's the main point. Make sense? Right? You heard many stories about the Burmese monks who withdraw from politics, going to mountain or forest to do meditation. You have that kind of story. You don't know. You don't know. Okay. Oh, so that's the whole point. Okay. So this is famous, and other monks too. Okay. And probably let me touch with you about. You remember the monks, Vietnamese monk who burned himself during the 860? You know that? You don't know?
I think you showed a video.
I show you that before? Okay. Is that because he want to die or what? He want to commit suicide or what? No, this was the cause of the religion, because at that time Buddhism was oppressed by a Catholic president. That's why he burned himself as a wake-up call for him in non-violent way. Makes sense? But you know, it's not easy. Remember what happened? Have you been burned yourself before? You see how painful is that? Not talking about the whole body, but he could hold on that kind of self-sacrifice, because of a strong mind, strong determination. So again, so that's but later on, even at the beginning, Vietnamese Buddhism was influenced by the Indian Buddhism directly, but later on, because especially after the 14th century, Buddhism died out in India, and eventually it got influence from the China Buddhism tradition in Vietnam. Okay. All right, let's move on to number 2. Lady, you are the only one. Yes. What about Trúc Lâm?
How do you say it?
Trúc Lâm. Yes.
Okay, so that Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, is the only native school of Buddhism in Vietnam, and it was founded by the emperor during the 13th century. And
what's his name?
Tran. Yes.
Okay.
And it's strongly influenced by Taoism and developed as a distinguished Chinese style of Buddhism. And basically what it is it's more like emphasized on a lot of meditation and insight into like a Buddha-like nature. And it has more like knowledge of sutras and doctrines and favors direct understanding of like with like an accomplished teacher. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. I think most of you learn world history, right? You know about the Mongolian emperor during the 11th and 12th century. You know that? He occupied to the eastern part of Europe, right? And somehow this Zheng Yangtong, originally he was a king. He led the Vietnamese people to defeat the Chinese armies as well as the Mongolian armies twice. And after he won the war, and he renounced the kingship to become a monk. and that's why he initiated that Trúc Lâm. Trúc Lâm Zen, the Zen sect in Vietnam. Is that easy? Let's say, is that easy for you guys? If let's say if you have some status in society, it's easy for you to give up. It's easy. And Miss Sally, suppose that you are Secretary of State. Would you give up your status?
Yeah.
To become a nun?
Huh? I would give up Secretary of State to be, but I can't give up my family.
Of course.
Tag attachments.
It's not easy. It's not easy to let go of your status, especially in society, right? But for this king, he could let go of his kingship to become a monk, and later on he initiated that traditions.
Like Siddhartha. Like Siddhartha, who was prince.
And this set was died out for many centuries, but was revised by one famous Zen master in Vietnam nowadays. And later on, especially you guys, if you want to learn more about Vietnamese Zen traditions, it's been revised by Venerable Thich Hang Dat. He's still alive and still survived. He's around 90 now. Yes.
My monk is actually from that sect, like
Really?
he's like around here. So I don't know if you know.
All right. So that's I just give you some information. Okay, number 3. Yes, lady. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Number 3. Zen in Korea. Go ahead.
Okay. It's distinguished from other forms in that it sees the inconsistencies in the Mahayana tradition, especially in translation. And so they kind of like interpreted their own way and kind of gave it their own approach and gave it a new name called Tongbolgyo, which means interpretive Buddhism. And it was supposed to harmonize all the conflicting aspects of it. And now it consists mostly of Seon lineage and the Jogai and Taegyo orders of Buddha.
Okay. Yes.
I guess I went more on the developmental part of it, where it came from Korean students who traveled to China to learn about Zen at the Hangzhou School of Maoism Daoyi, and then once the Korean students went home, they kind of started their own thing. And then there were 8 or 9 schools which were from Maoism Daoyi, and then one of them was founded by him, which was formed from the Cao lineage, and then it talked about how there's a time where Buddhism was really limited or was falling apart because of, I think during the Joseon era, and Buddhism wasn't allowed really, and then monks and nuns were kind of prohibited from sharing their practice with old society, so they actually run away to the mountains. And then I talked about in my paper that the Joseon Buddhism were combined into Sion and Ryo, but then later decreased into one school. And then later Korean Zen later will travel to the U.S. due to some Zen after he migrated to the U.S. in 1972.
You send number 3 was number 6? Oh, number 6. Okay. All right. So when Zen became popular in China, it spread to Japan, especially in Korea first, and now there's this Joje's set. It's one of the most popular Zen set in Korea. Okay. Let's see. Sky Chow, number 4. Yes. What's number 4 in Japan? Yes.
Number 5. Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4 is Korean.
Who?
It's Korean. 4 is Korean.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
The Jogye sect is sort of the main organization of Koreans in Buddhism. There's history dates back 1,200 years to the 9th century when Zen practices first arrived from China. It was first transmitted from China. Though this official foundation was more in the 11th century when there was an effort made to combine the Zen practices with the more theological sutra-based Buddhist schools. And it continued for a time until during the Joseon dynasty, Buddhism was repressed across all of Korea in favor of Neo-Confucianism. And this sort of carried on and repressed until the 19th century when there was a first effort to revive the Jagya order, but that was squelched by when the Japanese occupied Korea. But after liberation, they finally got around to reestablishing it officially in 1962.
So pretty much in 1962, the order was established, and they had 3 main goals. The first one is to train and be educated. The second was to translate the Korean sutra into Chinese characters, and the last thing that they were trying to do was propagation. So
Actually, from Chinese to Korean. You said opposite.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And actually, not later that year, but a little while longer in the 1990s, there was a struggle between the 2 factions because they had to decide who the next head of the temples were. And actually, the Purification and Reform Committee was a court that actually decided on who, but it wasn't enforced. So the monks actually created makeshift weapons and were fighting each other.
Okay, any more? You asked it? Alright, so that's happened. This is just politics everywhere. In business, right? Even in school. In religion too. Okay, number 5. Yeah, go ahead, lady. Yes, go ahead. Hands. Yes.
Huh?
Number 5?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, we're 7, sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. You 7? Who does the 5?
Okay. I think that's 3.
Sally, what's your number?
5.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So this.
You're a speaker of the house, huh?
Refuse.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if you wanted me to.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I did a little bit about Buddhism in the first place. In the, I found it during the Kamakura period, which is 1185 to 133,
Okay.
was when Zen Buddhism first made its appearance in Japan. And that's when it really started establishing itself within that period. And there was a monk, I say,
Isai?
Yeah, Isai.
Okay, I got that right. Was he was kind of responsible for making Buddhism Zen Buddhism, into its own sect. Really, he originally studied Linchi, which is a sect of Chan Buddhism in China, and then he came to Japan and tried to show it to everyone. And the current monks there didn't really like it because it was different from what they believed. So the current shogun of the time kind of took him under his wing and said, "Oh, I'll protect you, but in return you're gonna have to put in some of our beliefs into your into this Zen Buddhism of yours." And so they kind of worked together and they formed a sect of Zen Buddhism that got established within Japan, and that's also why Zen is a big part of samurai philosophies because of his influence from the shogun at the time. And then there was another monk that also came from China, Dogen, who brought Zen Buddhism, but he had a different sect, really. He came from the South Kung school, but he was not so willing to change what he believed like the other monk was. So he stuck very firmly to what he what he believed and learned. So because he believed that to reach enlightenment, it was like this slow, involved path. There was always of looking for a deeper level of awareness, and it wasn't this like sudden moment of like bam, it happens. It was like it took a long time to get there, and then he formed the Soto sect from what he believed. It's kind of like
Who had watched the movie The Last Samurai? Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Watch that movie where the white Indians piece in.
What's about him? What's about him?
Tom Cruise?
What's about him?
What do you mean? What's about him?
The last one, The Last Samurai, what's about him?
Well,
What's he about?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I forgot. All I remember was the scene where him and the girl were like defending a temple from like a bunch of arrows. That's the only scene I remember from that whole movie. It was really cool though.
What about the scene where he killed himself?
I don't remember that.
So actually this says connect with the samurais, and this is called elite practice. And this dojon is for Soto reserved for farmers, yeah, that's called common people. Alright. Alright, and then we move on and let's see. Alright, you now your turn.
But he's Japanese.
Number 6.
Where is she? Why'd she bail?
She on the one for you.
She like-
I know we didn't even get to talk about it, so I don't have much information on it. I know it's the biggest,
Which one you talk about? Number 6.
the Soto Zen.
Yeah, go ahead. It has a lot of information there.
I know, but I haven't gone over it yet. It's the largest of the 3 traditional sects of Zen in Japanese Buddhism. It's the Japanese line of the Chinese Caodong school.
Yes.
And it was founded during the Tang Dynasty by Dongshan Lion, whatever. They believe in meditating with no objects, anchors, or content, and they emphasize in Shikan.
That means seeing through silent meditation.
How do you say it?
Silent, keep silent meditation.
Their goal is to try to be aware of the streams of thought, allowing them to arise and pass away without like a bias or feeling towards them. It was brought in like 13th century.
Yeah, about him, right? The dojo. Actually, this is movie about him too. You guys watch it? You watch it?
I think you showed us it.
No, it's just short. No, not that one. It's pure short. That's different. Yeah.
He studied abroad in China, and he's now remembered as the co-patriarch of Soto Zen in Japan, along with Hiezan Joku. I don't know. There's about 14,000 temples, and it's the largest Japanese Buddhist organization. And it's also kind of popular here in the West. That's about it.
That's all. Okay, get go ahead. Move on number 7. I will show you some short video clips. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, 7, please. Rinzai, yeah.
Yeah, the school of Rinzai is one of the 3 different sects in Japanese Buddhism. The other 2 are the Soto and the Baku. It was founded during the Tang Dynasty. Around the same time, the samurai rose to power. Rinzai had its height during the Muromachi period because they were favored by the shogun and had 2 influential masters named Shuo Machio and Muso Sami. And I haven't got much more after that. It goes on to their teachings and practices right here, which is what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it focuses more on, what was it? Meditating on the koan, which is like the great mount, and as opposed to just sitting around like one of the other sects called Soto. And it's a lot. It's for the shoguns. It's a lot more, I don't know, wild and it's not. It's more martial and sharp, and it's not as gentle and relaxing as.
You know why?
Because they're regular.
Yeah.
No, but why? Why is that? Why Rinzai is more compatible with the Samara? Samara, right? Samurai. Why? Why they are compatible? Why?
The Soto?
No, the Rinzai.
Rinzai, okay.
Why?
Have the same characteristics.
No, why? Why is that?
Because
Remember? Okay, why? Who
it's
can
about
let me
one's
know?
true self.
Huh?
You see like your true self.
Remember last week we talked about Linji? What his method?
What?
Linji, the Zen master. What's about him? What's his method of teaching people? Remember?
Oh, he's the hitting and shouting?
Yeah, hidden and shouted. That's why it's more comparable with the samurai, the elite people. Right. Okay. So let's summarize. What's the difference? Who knows what's the difference between Soto and Rinzai again? Okay.
Soto was for the common people, while Rinzai was primarily for the samurai.
But what's it? What I mean, that talking about the method, huh?
Silent and
This silent,
yeah.
and it is more direct, and not the violent one, but it's more
Assertive. Assertive.
More active. Okay. All right. So number 8, please. That's number 8. Number 8. Sean, he's not here. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so
We have to. We will show you some video clips. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
one of the first people to bring the idea of Zen and Buddhism to the West was Soyen Shaku, who in 1893 spoke at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago.
Yeah.
And at that time, the United States was considered by Japanese Buddhists to be kind of barbaric, and so many people advised him not to go. But he went and spoke anyways, and then about 12 years later, there was this rich American couple, and they invited him to stay with them in San Francisco. So he lived there for 9 months, and then ended up founding the earliest Buddhist school within San Francisco. And then the Zen tradition, I guess, was kind of perpetuated, but boosted in America by D.T. Suzuki, who is a translator, and he spent a lot of time translating Buddhist texts into English, which a lot of people criticized him for kind of translating it into English because, once again, I guess America was considered less inclined to practice Buddhism and subscribe to the Buddhist ideals. So those were two of the main people who contributed, I guess, in Buddhism and Zen within the United States.
Yeah. Who know Bit Zen? Who know the system? You all know about that?
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about that some.
Yeah. And there's Sokatsu Shaku, who in 1906 founded the Zen school, and his disciple Sokai-un, who wandered up and down the west coast of the U.S. and actually worked a lot with Native Americans in Seattle, and then went to New York. And in 1928, he was ordained as a monk, and him, along with a few others, very small group of monks, formed the Buddhist Society of America. He knew Alan Watts, who also played a part in American Zen. He later actually, before he died, married Alan Watts' mother-in-law. She donated a lot of money to his cause. During the 1950s, after World War II, there are a whole bunch of writers and poets and authors who participated in Beat Generation, who, like for example, Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac. And they used the ideals in Zen to influence their writing, and they told people that they should be in the world but not of the world, based on a Zen concept, to sort of support their views of how to deal with society's problems and disillusionment from World War II. And that sort of made Buddhism, especially Zen, sort of chic and popular with Americans, which led to, in the 1960s, Americans picking it up and using it for sort of making it. There's a popular movement in the 1960s regarding Eastern religion in general. Zen was one of them.
So what the Beat Zen? Is that the the band, the music band, right?
It's a bunch of poets.
Poets and musician.
You're talking about like Ravi Shankar?
Beatles.
Yeah.
Right. You got is this the classical music, right?
Yeah.
You got here. Okay. Beat Generation. That's what you've mentioned about, right? This is getting popular. Yeah. Okay, and let's move on. Let's move on to the last one, so that I can show you some video clips and Bob Tucker, right? You're the last one, right? Okay, what's the main part of Zen tradition in the United States?
Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do?
Yes, that's the Manai you.
That's not the question.
Huh? Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
How Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, and Korean Zen influence on American Zen?
Well, what I did was I just wrote down like when the different schools opened and stuff like that. Okay, so the Japan has like 3 different schools that like came here. The first school was like the Rinzai, and the 2 most prominent teachers were Kyozan Joshu Saki, and he developed the Mind Body Zen Center in 1962. And another Rinzai teacher, Aido Tai something, he developed the Dai Busatsu in New York, which was like a training meditation center. And Japan also brought the Soto school of Buddhism, and the first school of that was in Chicago in 1949, and then the next one came in San Francisco in 1959 by Shinru Suzaki, and the last school from like Japan was the Sanbo Kyoden, and Philip Kapu, who was a war crimes reporter, actually learned about that school when he went to Japan for the war crimes like meeting after World War II. And that's where he learned about it. And in 1965, he published a book called The 3 Pillars of Zen, which was basically to introduce Zen to most of America, because it was one of the first like big publications in English. And then Chinese perspective, which was like Chen or something. The first one from that was Husan Hua, and he moved to San Francisco and taught Zen Buddhism and Pure Land concept, amongst other pure Buddhism ideas. And in the 1980s, one of his students, Sheng Yan, founded the Chan Meditation Center in New York, Queens.
Want to ask something, lady? You're number 9, right?
I'm number 2.
Oh, you're number 2. You done? Oh, okay. So, that's all. Okay. Now, thank you. And actually, let me wrap up again. What is the most popular methods that they use in Zen practice? Guess one. But remember what I told you? Conan. Remember?
Oh, yes.
This is the most popular one. If you talk about Zen, you need to know about this. What's the difference between this Conan and all the Buddhist, traditional Buddhist practice? What's the
Koan
difference?
is like a story that's meant to expand the student's consciousness and maybe give them a sense of enlightenment. Or,
And what else? It's sometimes it's just one sentence. Even sometimes it's just one word. Like what you do with your cell phone. You may not use your thinking, your analytical thinking, but use your intuition to recognize. That's related to Con, right? It's stimulate your intuition. Not using your analytical thinking about the word like what was your face before you was born? How was your face before you was born? How your face looked like before you was born? Can you recognize that? How?
like mashed potatoes.
But how your face looked like before you were born? Can you recognize that?
Like this.
I think all babies are the same.
Not physical forms. That's the trick. Not physical form. Remember, in some coins say, if you see the Buddha, kill the Buddha. That's not physical killing, but killing the illusion in the mind. You understand that? So that mess up.
So there's no such thing.
Okay, and okay, let me show you some short video clips so you do recognize. Who have watched some Zen movie before? Only you? Oh, okay, so please, if you could pay attention and you could see this here. Okay, here. Here is one of American Zen Center. It's called Zen Mountain Monastery in the East Coast. Okay.
And of course, we can solve those external problems by getting what we want to eat, or by doing something that we enjoy
Are you
doing.
here?
Yeah.
But in the end, we will always return to this place within ourselves, where we are
This is
comfortable
a
with our
Japanese
own egoistic, narrow self. And this is true with more and more people. This is what the real problem is. And for that reason, we have Zazen. For that reason, we have this practice that you couldn't be of any use to the patient. In psychology, you have data, and you have different responses from the patient, but if the doctor doesn't have this great wide mind, it's not going to work. So I was thinking to myself, how am I going to get this big, great mind? I didn't even like my own personality, so how could I become great and expansive? And here I was concerned with this problem, worrying about whether or not I was going to be able to do it or not. And right at that moment, I encountered Fumo Roshi, a great, huge mind right in front of me. And by meeting that person, I realized that doing psychology, to study all these things scientifically, learn how to gather data and experiments and tests, is not the point. When I went into the monastery, I thought it would be different for me. I thought I was going to go in there and be enlightened right away. I wasn't going to go in there and wait around for enlightenment like everyone else who was just there hanging out,
You hear that?
not taking it seriously, not
Can you
getting
hear
to the
that?
point.
So at first, when he went to monastery, he thought that he would attain enlightenment on the spot the right way. So that expectation that just could not be accomplished easily.
I was determined that I was one of the... Nothing happened. And for the first time, I was completely frustrated, disappointed. I didn't know what to do. When it came to the ceremony that honored the Buddha's enlightenment, I was beside myself with despair. Here I had thought that I could really
Let
do
me
it.
show you the other one. This is one of the traditional.
Is the beginning of a week of intensive meditation and religious discourse. The week is called Rohatsu Ozeshin. On the evening before it begins, an atmosphere of tense determination fills the monastery. Rohatsu Ozeshin is associated with the enlightenment of Shakyamuni, the Buddha, after he saw the morning star on the 7th day of his seated meditation under the Bodhi tree. For the monks in training, it is the most important period of Zen practice and a climax in their monastic life, one which measures the effectiveness of the past 12 months of training. This, at last, is the Rohatsu Ozeshin you have all waited for. For 7 days, you will sit as if it were a single day.
7 days, I have to sit
This
straight.
training period is aptly called a monk cure.
Can you see?
But I ask you all to put every possible effort into it and not to spare yourself in any way. Master and monks gather together in the dining hall and drink tea poured from the same container. This strengthens the sense of unity between them in their training, and they pledge to devote themselves totally to the meditations that will begin the next day.
You know why tea connect with Zen practice? Why tea connect with Zen practice? Why? Yes.
The tea houses, maybe?
Huh?
Tea houses in Japan?
But why? Why they use tea?
Caffeine helps you focus.
Not coffee, but think about.
Yeah.
Rohatsu Ozeshin normally takes place at the beginning of December, but at the Shogenji it begins in accordance with the lunar calendar on the 15th of January, when the weather is at its hardest and coldest. It lasts for 7 days. It is now midnight on the 14th. In the meditation hall, the atmosphere has gradually become tenser. The monks lie down to sleep. Ozeshin will begin at 3 in the morning. They have time for only a short nap before then.
Let me skip the nap, but go to meditation.
Among the monks, there are several newcomers who are about to experience Rohatsu Ozeshin for the first time. Harumi Asayama is one. In April last year, when the cherry blossoms were beginning to fall, he came here to the Shogenji to undergo training.
Let me show you this part. Sorry, this is pretty long. Okay, let me this one here. Oh yeah. Look up here. Look how they did. How they use the stick a bit. Can you see?
It's like I got into Zen without even being aware of it. You know, it was like before I knew it, it had taken my life.
Again, you know why?
A lot of
Why
people,
when
when they start
they
sitting and very hesitant,
when they sit in
take a long
meditation,
time to get into
they
it.
have someone to
And
control.
they come, and,
Why?
and then you go away for a while and you
And
come
wake
back.
up.
But,
How did you get in?
Why?
To make sure you don't fall asleep.
Yeah, it's simple. It's simple because when you sit this, more than 30 minutes, it's easy to fall asleep. That's why they use this methods to wake up.
We should.
Who been in the Zen center before? No one? No. When was that?
Like in an meditation?
Where's in Nepal? They use the stick to hit the people or not? No. Is this Tibet temple?
It wasn't Tibet. It was,
The police?
yeah, it was like Nepal.
Is it so old monks or they allow like people to sit with them too?
There's a lot of young monks actually. So it's like the young monks are learning. That's where they do their, what is it called? Debating.
That's it. Yeah. Next fall I will teach mindfulness class, and I may bring my student to my monastic to do meditation for a day. Yeah. Okay. Alright, anyway, so I think that's so for today, but it's a lot of things for you to learn. So please, remember you have only 1 month to go, so please try to catch up 10 to 17 minutes. Alright, and if you are working on your final, please do so. Don't wait for last minute.